their willful rejection of science and the scientific method, their raw America First jingoism and trumpeting of the superiority of Western civilization, and their bellicose wielding of military power, including their expressed willingness and blatant threats to use nuclear weapons to destroy countries, with the finger of a demented bully on the nuclear button. A regime that, without exaggeration, threatens not just greatly heightened suffering for the masses of humanity, but the very existence of humanity itself. It used to be a common saying, to the person of the right, order is more important than justice, while for the person of the left, it is the opposite. Now the question is put squarely to liberals, and really to everyone. Which, after all, is more important? Order, even if that is the order of fascism, with everything that means? Or justice, even if that means stepping outside of our comfort zone and putting ourselves on the line to prevent this fascism from consolidating its rule and fully implementing its program? Whether we consider ourselves revolutionaries, convinced of the need for a radical overturning of the system and thorough transformation of society, or we believe that it is possible to bring about changes that will lead to a more just society within this system, whether our understanding is that America is not and cannot be a force for good in the world, or we hope it still can become that, all of us need to come together and act together with the urgency that corresponds to the terrible present and the gravely imperiled future that this fascist regime represents for humanity, and with the conviction that something far better is necessary and possible. Thousands must be organized to take to the streets in cities all over the country, beginning on November 4, overcoming fear and feeling the strength of their common cause and action and their common aspiration and determination, making clear their resolve to not just make a statement, but to continue, and more than that, to spread and multiply their numbers and impact until millions have been mobilized and refuse to stop until the demand has been met. This nightmare must end. The Trump-Pence regime must go. The Trump-Pence regime must go. The Trump-Pence regime must go.
That was Bob Avakian, and we'll talk about him and our guest, Carl Dix, with our guest, Carl Dix, in just a minute. But welcome once again to The Radical Imagination. I'm your host, Jim Bredos, and I'm a sociologist who's taught at John Jay College here in New York. The left, at times, has done a masterfully self-destructive job by allowing various parochial factions and schisms to dominate their message and vision. These arguments have often insisted that all those on the left should follow their particular version of a leftist truth as they engage in one-upsmanship as to whose message is the purest version of that truth. Strains in the authoritarian left have managed to accomplish a turning off of large segments of the general population to the cause and have demonstrated a cannibalistic capacity to divide and conquer burgeoning movements that could have made large progressive differences for vast segments of humanity. From French radical republicanism and utopian socialism to Marx and Engels' influential Communist Manifesto, from the First International to the split between supporters of Marx and the anarchists under Bakunin, forming the International Workers' Association, from the divisions in the Second International over the issue of World War I and opposition to the war by Lenin and Rosa Luxemburg, to more recent divisions in the United States between the old communist left and the new left. The left, unfortunately, has often been its own worst enemy. On the show today, as progressive activists and the radical imagination seek to establish a more inclusive vision for the betterment of humanity, we're excited to have on a dear friend and comrade who I have the deepest respect for, even as we struggle in dialogue over our disagreements. Carl Dix is a co-initiator of Refuse Fascism, a longtime revolutionary leader and a representative of the Revolutionary Communist Party, USA. He grew up in a Baltimore ghetto and was one of 6 GIs in 1970 who refused orders to go to Vietnam and spent 2 years in prison for his stand. I was proud to be a part of his and Cornel West organizing efforts in 2011 to protest and demonstrate against the New York City Police Department's infamous stop and frisk policy. Carl has recently been throwing his all into mobilizing people across the country in the streets and campuses to take up the call of stopping fascism and putting an end to the Trump-Pence regime. He's an ardent advocate of the work and ideas of Bob Avakian, who we've just heard from. B.A., as he's commonly called by his followers, is chairman of the Revolutionary Communist Party, USA, a Marxist-Leninist Maoist organization founded in 1975. He's developed a theoretical framework for what he considers to be a new stage of communist revolution, calling it a new synthesis of communism. I've invited Carl on to dialogue about this major work and its potential to bring the left, progressives, and people of goodwill together for revolutionary change. So welcome, Carl, to the Radical Imagination, especially on April 4th here, 50th anniversary of commemorating Martin Luther King's assassination. So I think it's even more poignant to have you here and talk about this very interesting work and what you've been doing in terms of organizing and so on. So it's great to have you here.
It's great to be on the show again, Jim.
Terrific. Well, tell me about what you've been doing. What is this new work about, the demonstrations? What are you doing in terms of crisscrossing the country, organizing?
Well, look, what we're trying to do is to bring to people the understanding that Trump is much more than a buffoon, a clownish figure, gross, all of that
Idiot.
stuff.
Right, exactly.
And he is all of that.
True.
But even more than that, he has become the representative for a thrust of hammering fascist rule into place in this country.
MAGA Trump supporters, get out! MAGA Trump supporters, get out!
Aware of that. What's your...
Okay,
didn't
I think he's aware of what he's doing.
Okay, all right, we'll get
and we
into
can
that,
talk
but-
about that
sure,
some more.
Go ahead, okay.
But it will not only be intensifying horrors like what you and I and Cornell and others took to the streets for around stop and frisk and police terror in general, not only intensifying the horrors that were already coming down on our
Right.
immigrant pop sisters and brothers,
Right here. Most of us are communists in this room. Deal with the reality. Make international news burning the American flag. I'm here for this. We are the RevCom.
When you are going to start, because TikTok time is of essence.
Well, we running the program, so we gonna start when we gonna start.
Get your hands off my